Welcome, Joshua. Thank you for coming on the podcast today. How did you get on this path of becoming a psychic medium?
Well, thanks for having me on. Let me just say it's an honor always to be able to speak with anyone and that's interested and share what it is that I get to do. So it's an honor. Thank you. Um, I first started doing what I do, excuse me, about 12 years ago. I had made some money in a business that I was in. I'd done pretty well for myself and was more interested, instead of making more money, I was interested more in focusing on my spirituality and understanding more of what is out there. I had seen shows and movies and things like that, but didn't know what to really think when it comes to, afterlife and stuff like that. So I started, you know, as a novice, as an amateur, a beginner, going out into cemeteries and abandoned buildings. And I'd have my little voice recorder and a little couple of other little devices, and I would start recording things. And I didn't know what I was going to get. I just kind of wanted to see what was going on. And I started capturing evidence of words, of responses, replies to what I was asking. I was asking, "What is your name? How are you? What are you doing?" And they would say things like their name. They would say my name. They would say, "We're looking for the light," or "We see the light," or "We're okay," or sometimes someone would say, "Get out." They didn't want to talk. But most of the time they were very friendly. And I knew then that there was something more to the afterlife, that I was discovering it, that I didn't have to take anyone else's word for it. And then shortly after that, I started to pick up things on my own in my head. My partner, Nikki, she would pick up things in her head. We had a medium that we would bring out with us sometimes. And that medium was getting information that was very accurate. And then that medium said to us that one day we would be able to do this. And I kind of balked at that. I really didn't believe that that was the case. But then, sure enough, it started to happen. I started working with a woman who was a teacher of intuitive ability. And she helped me understand how to develop more of my ability. And so, skip to now, I've done over 3,000 mediumship readings. I've done, probably almost 1,000 different box sessions where I reach out to people's loved ones, and I share it on my channel. And it's amazing.
So, what was your life like before you started on this path?
It was crazy. Yeah, I lived a pretty crazy life. I've kind of had many lives within my lifetime already, and I'm 43. I had a pretty troubled past. I mean, I got into a lot of trouble as a young guy. I had addiction in my life. I was an alcoholic. I was addicted to drugs. I committed a crime that sent me to prison for a couple years. And that was, 20 years ago. But it was, a path of destruction. I didn't have any regard for my life and others as well. I was always a good person, I think, inside, but I felt that I had a lot of pain and addiction and issues that, I needed to go away. I needed to go to timeout in a sense. And, prison was that for me. It saved my life. Um, and, when I was in there, I had a very spiritual connection with Jesus, who definitely is my master guide. I don't care for religion per se, but I do believe that, Christ does save and that he helps. When I came out of prison, I had a fresh start. I had no job. I had no place to live. I had no money. I had to start from scratch and kind of, that's when I got into making money in a business that I started. I started a couple businesses and I did very well doing that. But, I always just continued to turn my life over to God, to Christ, and ask for help. And since then, it has been an amazing journey. I mean, there's still been tough times, of course, but it's been a beautiful journey of discovery of what I am and who I am, and sharing those discoveries with people on my channel, the followers. I also I found Paramahansa Yogananda at one point. He is my guru. Now I follow the Self-Realization Fellowship. I'm an initiate of Kriya Yoga. I practice Kriya. And so that's been an amazing journey as well, is kind of understanding, the connection with Christ and him, which is a really strong one. And so it really helped develop more of my connection with Christ. But I do say that, where I tell people that, like Yogananda, he didn't have a religion. His was he's more concerned with the science of communicating with God, and that he was kind of a lover of all religions, because he was able to see in each religion what was important. Hinduism and Christianity and being a Muslim, there was a connection to all of them. But just like Christ was, I mean, Christ was a Jewish man, but he did not care about necessarily worshiping in temple and in churches. He cared about, we are the temple, and we are the ones to worship, from within us, the higher power. So that really helped. That was really a saving grace for me.
Thank you for sharing that. So what is the instrumental transcommunication?
It's a good question. So ITC for short,
Mm-hmm.
instrumental transcommunication, is a field of study that is not to be taken lightly. It started with guys like Thomas Edison, Nikola Tesla. There's a brilliant Latvian scientist, a psychologist named Konstantin Radovan, these are guys that really helped to develop ITC. They created devices where you can communicate with intelligence in another dimension, in other dimensions. It's not just using your intuitive ability to connect and get messages, but you're using scientific equipment. You're using voice recorders and radios, TVs, electronic devices to allow for voices on the other side to come through. And I think that I've done some amazing, been a part of some amazing work that in the last decade, in showing that some people say, well, you can't prove who you're talking to. You're getting messages, but you don't know who those messages are from. And I would say, yes, to some degree, you are right. It's hard to prove exactly who you're talking to. But, I have captured some amazing messages that have proven, I believe, without a doubt, that we are communicating with a specific person that I am intending to communicate with, whether it's a well-known person, which I've asked for many well-known people. But I do, the majority of the work I do is I ask for people's loved ones mostly, and the messages that we get are just absolutely remarkable. So it's the study of communicating through electronics.
And how is your work different compared to others?
Well, I think there's a number of ways that my work is different. I know there are some people that do this work, and some are more scientific based. Some are not as strict with their process or their protocols, so it's kind of more interpretational of what's coming through. I like, I'm an evidential medium, so I like to get points of validation when I'm doing a reading for someone. So it's the same that goes for when I'm doing a session through my boxes or equipment. I think my belief in Christ, my connection with him, I think my compassion for people. I want to help not just the living, but I want to help the souls on the other side. Um, I think that the team on the other side that works with me, my guides, my helpers on the other side, they're an amazing team that really help me. And our evidence, our what we capture is better than most, I would say. And I'm not saying that in an egotistical way. I'm just saying that I think that that kind of separates me from some of the other people out there that are doing this. I've written a book about this, Finding Hope in the Afterlife, it's called. I've created an app which is free, and I have a paid version too, but I have a free app that people can download on their phones and they can try to do the same kind of work that I'm doing in a sense using the app. And it's called the Hope Spirit Box app. It's on iOS and we're doing an update for Android and we're working on that. But that app is it's been downloaded almost 100,000 times. There's like 50,000 active users or so on it. And people have sent me countless recordings of captures that they've got from their loved ones saying, this is the most amazing app I've ever used, or it's so effective. And I thank you for, creating it. And it's really helped a lot of people. So, I tell people I have a channel on YouTube. I'm not a YouTube channel. That means some people are kind of just, that's all they are is just posting on their YouTube channel. I like to, I'm doing readings for people. I'm doing live events. I've written the book, created the app. I do interviews a lot, and I don't see that being done quite often. So I think I try to put myself out there a little bit more than most, but and sometimes I get a lot of heat for it because, this is just not accepted still. This is, just a lot of people don't understand this. They think it's fake. They think it's not real. They don't understand it. They think it's either or that I'm connecting with evil energy. And I tell them, I mean, I've been doing this for a long time, and the majority of the messages I get are all positive and love filled. It's very rare that I get some kind of negative message. And if it is negative, it's normally just like how you have trolls on internet that leave a bad comment. It's really like that on the other side, that sometimes there's a troll on the other side that just wants to say something negative, but most of the time it's all positive. So it's been a very rewarding, beautiful process.
Now, for someone who's like a beginner, like you obviously have experience. Now, if someone who's new to this, they use that app, is it possible for them to connect to negative entities, or is there even negative entities?
I'm not going to say that there's no demons out there. I'm not, I mean, I would say there is some evil energy that is within the world, just as, or out on the other side, just as there is in the world. So we have people that kill people here in this world.
Hmm.
What happens to those souls when they die? Some would say, well, they go to hell. It's either heaven or hell. But I think that it's different. I don't think there's a hell in the traditional sense, the way that people think, like in Catholicism or maybe Christian mainline Christianity, that there's a guy with a pitchfork. I think there is some evil entity maybe that is like a devil. I've heard that name being mentioned. Um, I would say 99% of the time, if someone ever does get something negative, like I said, it's just someone that used to be alive that was negative when they were alive, that they're on the other side and they're just being negative too. And so we're more powerful than that. We don't have to, deal with them if we don't want to. I think a lot of people have fear, and the fear is, it's a problem because if you have fear, it kind of weakens you. So you have to work through that fear and realize that you're a lot stronger than you realize, than you know. And if you know that, then if you ever hear something negative, you can just go, nope, I don't accept that, be gone, and trust in that, and you don't have to engage with that. It's not like they're going to possess you now. That's not what I get. That's not what I believe in reincarnation. I believe in karma. So I know that the karma system is perfect, the way it is, even though it doesn't feel perfect here. We see a child die. We see innocent people dying. That doesn't make sense to us while we're here. So, it hurts us when we see that kind of stuff, and it should, because that means that we're compassionate, caring people. Um, but what Guruji talks about, Paramahansa, he talks about, that everything is part of the karma system. And so that, even Jesus in the Bible said, if you live by the sword, you die by the sword. And he wasn't saying that if you kill someone in this life with a sword, you're going to also die in this life by a sword. He's saying that if you put out what you're putting out, you're going to get that energy back. And whether it's in this life or the next life, you're going to get that. So let's say we take someone who was a mass murderer or something here, and then they die. They will be in darkness until they want to come to terms with what it is they did. They can hide for a while on the other side in darkness, but they can't evade karma. Karma is patient. Karma is on time. Karma comes when it's supposed to, and you can't evade that. And so at some point, that killer on the other side will have to come into the light and have to face the sins that they did, and they will feel that pain. They will feel what they did, and that's kind of the hell that they may experience. But at some point, they will be free of that and have a chance to either come back here to rectify what they did, or be able to move on from that. So it's not like an eternity in the burning place. You will eventually be able to transcend that. Um, when we die, I believe that, whatever is unresolved with our karma, unresolved desires that we die with, we will most likely have to come back here to deal with those things. So, Paramahansa says, death is not the great escape that everyone thinks it is. If that was the case, let us all go to the ocean at once and drown ourselves and become angels. He says, but that's not the way it is. He goes, you are who you are now, that you are on the other side to some extent, and that you have to deal with it now. Now is the time to grow, now is the time to learn. So face that stuff now. Get close to your higher power now while you're here. That way, when you do go to the other side, you already are in heaven already, because you've already come to terms and come in contact with your higher power, with God, and that you've let go of any past karma that you've worked through, and that's what I believe.
So I was going to ask, that was my next question. How do we clear up the karma? So deal with everything now in this life at this moment. So when
Yes.
you do pass over and come again, you're not dealing with karma. You're basically starting new, right? Would you say that?
You want to. I mean, that's the goal. I mean, you know what I mean? I think the way to deal with karma is to meditate unceasingly, to meditate, meditate, meditate. People aren't taught that enough. Meditation is the key. And it's hard for especially Westerners to deal with that. I mean, in the East, in Asia and in different, you know, meditation, Buddhism and Hinduism, that's part of their way. Here in the States, or in the UK and different places in the West, it's not as prevalent. It's not taught as much. It is becoming more taught now, but meditation is like, breathing air, eating food, brushing your teeth. It's so important. And I said, not like it's not like that, but I'm saying it's something that should be treated like that. Like it's something that you should be doing no matter what. That, and, caring and serving others in some way. Um, find what your niche is. Find what I ask God to direct me and guide me every day. Every day I say a prayer and I meditate on some level Sometimes it's just 15 minutes, sometimes it's an hour, because I have three kids and I have a lot of stuff, you know.
Mhm.
The guy that gives me hope, you know, there's the lineage of Kriya, and there's Mahavatar Babaji, Lahiri Mahashaya, Swami Sri Yakshawar, and then Paramahansa Yogananda ji. And the one of those four that gives me even more hope than anyone is Lahiri Mahashaya, because he was a householder. He had children, he had a family, and he still mastered meditation. So for a guy that is got a lot of bills and noise around me with kids, three daughters, and you know what I mean, it can get very hectic, but there's still a way to find that peace within that chaos. You know, some people think that they need to go into the Himalayas, into a cave,
Mhm.
to find, you know, nirvana, to find samadhi, you know, and that's not the way that it has to be. I know that's, you know, hard for me to understand that, but, you know, I still am working through that and understanding that and finding that balance. But that and helping to serve others, getting close to God now, not waiting until the other side, doing that now, working on a connection, conscious contact with God of your understanding, whether that's Buddha, Jesus, Allah, Krishna, you know, whoever that is for you, working on that connection, meditation, and trying to be kind, trying to serve others in some unique way, is the way.
Now, just regarding meditation, how often? So it should be daily, every day. Like you should get up and
Every
meditate.
day, meditation should be done. It's supposed to be done twice a day.
And for how long? Like
I
for
mean,
someone.
the minimal amount is 20 minutes, and you want to continue to up your try to go, like Paramahansa says, you know, try to dedicate one day to really meditating longer than you normally do. Um, hey, listen, I'd love to sit here and tell you that I am just, you know, in the zone. You know what I mean? That I am meditating twice a day, once 20, once an hour. Doesn't work that way. It just does not work that way for me. So there are periods where I meditate a lot, and then there's things that happen, you know, that I don't because of stuff. And
Mhm.
I try not to hold it against myself, because it's easy for me to get down on myself and say, you know, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. But I do, and I do feel it. I do feel it more. I'm not as connected in my readings. I'm not as connected. I'm not as peaceful. Um, I, I find myself, um, worrying about other things that I normally don't worry about. So, you know, meditation not only helps you physically, helps lower your blood pressure, helps calm the rate of your body. It will help heal certain ailments within your body, naturally. Um, that's just the physical thing of it. The spiritual side of it is helping you connect to your higher power, bringing in more light. You know, we are made of light. These are just the bodies. You know what I mean? This is just,
Mhm.
you know, we are not the body. And it's really hard for us to understand that. You know, I'm not Josh, you're not you in the body. You know, there's a soul within us. I mean, there's, you know, Paramahansa talks about the three bodies. He talks about the physical body. He talks about the astral body, which is within us, that's made of light, gossamer light, that is in the shape of a body. And that is like the spirit of the body. And then there's the soul within the astral body. There's the causal body, and that's an orb of light, and that's the soul, and that's the spark of the divine. That's what we are made of. We are made of light. And so when we shed the body, the astral body and the causal body, as one in a sense, leave. And you know, you can see when I'm doing my sessions, I use a night camera sometimes, and you will see these beautiful balls of light enter the room and enter my body or enter my equipment, and they'll use the equipment, they'll speak with me, and then they'll leave. and they'll come and go, and they'll shoot across. Some shoot at the little white patch of my hair, which I believe has to do with, the, I mean, I've seen many orbs leaving this white patch of my head, which is right above my third eye, which is a very interesting phenomenon that we can capture. We've seen people in hospice on a deathbed, and a time that that they're dying, taking their last breath. They take their last breath, and then a ball of light will come into the room, and then a ball of light will leave with that ball of light. So it's like a loved one comes in to greet them, and then they kind of realize, the soul realizes within the body, okay, it's time to go, and it'll shoot up out of the body, and then those two balls of light will leave together. We've seen that happen. Now, some skeptics will say, "Oh, that's just dust." Yeah, dust doesn't do that. I've even tested with the night cameras and taken a pillow and a blanket and shaken them out in front of the camera, and you don't see any dust at all on those cameras. Dust doesn't shoot across your head or shoot up out of your head or drop down and stop and then make a sharp turn. It doesn't do that. So there's plenty. I had an amazing capture of a ball of light that was near my bookshelf, and it was inside the shelf, and then it came out the other side, so you could see it go behind it and then come out through the side of the bookshelf, and you can see how that worked. It was like going through an object. Dust doesn't do that. Water vapor droplets don't, doesn't do that.
So, what is the most important life lesson you have learned in your life?
From a guy that was very much into making money, be wanting to become someone that was successful, which I have attained. I have low, I think I own my house. I was in, I've made films. I've written and produced and directed, feature films that got full distribution. I've written a book. I've made millions of dollars in some other businesses. So I've had some level of success. Um, but it's an endless chase if that's what you want to get on. It will never be enough for you. And I still am dealing with this. Like, it's not like I have learned this lesson completely, but I'm on that level. I'm on that trajectory of learning that, and that, those things are not important. You can't take them with you. You can't take your fat bank account with you. You can't take your nice, shiny car with you. You can't take your house with you. What you can take with you is your connection with your higher power, with God. You can take love. Love is the one thing that can transcend the dimensions of time and space. So that can go with you. So to have a fat spiritual bank account, to have a fat bank account with love in it, and to be able to take that with you, that's the when you leave here on your deathbed and you get ready to leave, you know there aren't a lot of people that really say, I wish I made more money, or I wish I had more money. It's, I wish I spent more time with my family. I wish I was kinder to people. Those are the regrets that people have when they're on their deathbed. So if that's the case, then, and it's hard because society gets you, you need this, you need that,
Mhm.
you need to have this, you need to be this many followers, this level of views, this level of this, more and more and more. And, when you have kids and stuff, they want things, and you don't want to be struggling for food or to pay the bills. And so there is a balance of making money, but it's not everything. It's certainly not everything, and it can make you very unhappy. And that's what I find. Now, most days I'm pretty good with that. Some days, I want a little extra something for my family. I don't need much anymore. There's very little that I buy for myself anymore. I have everything I feel like I need. Um, but when the missus wants something, when the kids want something, that's when I kind of go, "Ah, I need to make some extra money." You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But that's really, it's okay. As long as I mean, I get to work from home. I woke up today. a little later than than I was able to. I got to sleep in a little bit later. I just bought a couple of electric scooters for my kids, and my little 5-year-old was just, she's like, Dad, can we go on a scooter ride? Can we go on a scooter ride? And the first thought is to go, no, I have work. I got to work. I got to work, But I could hear her just being sad because, she knows that I have to work. And I just said, okay, I have to do an interview at 2. But I'm gonna go take her on a ride. And I took her and my other daughter and her friend. We went on a scooter ride, and we went to a little coffee shop, and we got some snacks and some coffee, and we sat outside, and we went scooting around the whole neighborhood, and the weather's beautiful. And I said, I'm a blessed man because at 1:30 in the afternoon on a weekday in the middle of the week, I'm able to do that. God has blessed me with enough of finances and a job that I can have that freedom to do that. Those, I think, are going to be the memories that people or that my kids have and that I have, you know what I mean, that I'll appreciate later on.
If someone is experiencing, like, say, a challenging time, they hit rock bottom, it's very easy to say, focus on the good things. But when you're
Of
in that
course.
moment, you're not, like, obviously you can't, if you can't find anything good, what advice would you like to give to someone?
That's a great question. And I can relate. I'm a recovering alcoholic. I haven't had a drink in 19 years. And one of the things that they talk about at our meetings is that it's important to do a gratitude list. And so it is important to maybe sit down and write down some things you are grateful for, because it is hard to stay depressed or to stay upset when you start to look at the things you do have that you can be, blessed in. There's an old, like, kind of like a parable of, if you walked into a room with a bunch of other people and everyone put their shoes in the middle of the room, um, the chances are when you leave, you'll want to take your own shoes back. And the point of that story is that you don't really want to trade in for other people's problems. Your problems may feel like they're really insurmountable or too difficult, but the fact is that they're yours to deal with, and that most time people don't want other people's problems. So it's our stuff. When you do go over a gratitude list and you think of those things, it's easier to get out of that funk or that issue. But with that being said, like you said, sometimes that's just not easy. And sometimes we are dealing with health issues, financial stuff, the death of a loss of a loved one, that died, and grief. Grief is strong, depression. When I'm in those things, I'm in a bad mood. I'm in a bad mood. I don't feel great. I'm not the most spiritual. I don't have some wonderful, life lesson to share with people sometimes. Sometimes I just want to be left alone, or I want to feel that pain that I'm feeling, so it isn't easy. The answer is always God. The answer is always to turn to God. But that, again, is not easy to do. And I say God in the sense just that's a word. It's really turn to our higher power, to our source, turn to our loving creator. And if we are working on a conscious contact with that creator when things are good, then when things are bad, we know who to turn to. The sense of loss that we have, not being fulfilled by someone else's love, not making enough money, not achieving something in our job, like a status, like, oh, I want to be the boss. I want to be loved by other people, liked by other people, whatever. That is really all of those things is really us just wanting God's love. And when we have God's love, we don't need those other things. But again, just because someone can come to that realization, like I have before, doesn't mean that those other things aren't going to come back sometimes it's like it's not like, oh, I've reached
Mhm.
enlightenment. I realize that I only need God's love and I don't need anyone else's thing, and then that's it. You're going to get that lesson, and then you're going to still be tested by this world. That there's a handsome man or a pretty woman that you want their affection and they're not giving it to you, and it's going to make you feel less than. The job doesn't recognize your efforts, so you're going to feel less than. You're not making some kind of money that you wish you had, and you see someone with a mega yacht or with a fancy car, and you go, oh, I want that. I really would love to have that. Instead of just appreciating what you do have. You know, all of those things, when we're sick, we don't want to die. We don't want to leave this world. We like our things. We like our house. We like our pets. We like our family. We like things that we have. But when we realize that this is just temporary, there's a reason that the body gets old and it starts to break down. It's a constant reminder that this is not our permanent home. This is not our ultimate reality. Our ultimate reality is on the other side, where there isn't, famine and sickness and pain like there is here. This is a very intense experience to have, and we don't remember our previous home. We have a sense that there's something there, especially, when I do the work I do. I mean, heck, I've been doing this work for a long time. I've done a lot of sessions. They talk about the light, they talk about meeting God, seeing God, they talk about being with other family, that it's beautiful, that loved ones and angels come help raise us up to the heavens when it's time. I mean, there's just countless, countless, countless pieces of evidence that prove how amazing it is on the other side and that we will be there. And even with those reminders, I still have moments that I'm like, I want what I want here. So if that's the case for a guy like me who does this work on a regular basis, what do you think it's like for someone who doesn't do this work, who doesn't have that faith? It's even worse for people like that sometimes. So I understand that, you know what I mean? That it's this is a very strong experience to have here. And it's not easy to just go, okay, I'm not the body, no problem. Like, you know what I mean? Easier said than done. I mean, that's, you know what I mean? We have to keep taking it in and keeping it in our hearts on a daily basis.
So
Yeah.
how do we turn to God or get God's love? Is it through meditation, prayer, gratitude?
So gratitude is definitely gets you out of the funk, gets you out of the funkiness, Prayer is the upload. Like, we're talking computers and internet. It's like prayer is uploading and meditation is downloading. Okay. So prayer is what allows us, it's the uplink, it's the sharing. Um, he hears our prayers, our petition,
Mhm.
really starting out with gratitude and saying, I thank you for this, I thank you for that, and thanking him for the bad stuff as well as the good stuff, which is not easy to do. To say, hey, I thank you, God, for the crappy things that happened to me. And someone would say, well, why would you thank him for that? Because that's part of this development that we're in. This is part of our journey. Those bad things that happen to us, they don't feel good when they're happening to us. But afterwards, there's normally a blessing, a lesson, an understanding that comes. I'm still, again, I'm not speaking like I'm one that's arrived in that little area where I know. I just know what the answer is, but it doesn't mean that am always in that space. I still cringe when I thank God for the bad things because I don't want him to send any more. So I'm like, oh, don't, thank you, but I don't want more. You know what I mean? But, you know, it's just trusting in the process. And so by saying, God, I turn myself over to you to guide me, guide my thoughts, guide my words, guide my actions, guide my mind, help me. Do thy will, do your will, not mine. Your will, not mine. So these are the kinds of prayers that I say. I say, sinner or saint, sinner or saint, I am your child. And that kind of vindicates me, kind of releases me of thinking I'm really, really good or really, really bad. And I could be both of those things in one day. I could be a saint and a sinner. I could do something wonderful for someone, and then on the other moment, I can cuss someone out. So it's like I could be two different things in one day, but the thing that doesn't change is that I am his child, and that, there's an unconditional love there from the Father and Divine Mother. The Father, Divine Mother, Father, that there is, and it's in one. So asking, thanking, and asking, communicating, just as I'm communicating with you, having a conversation and talking, hey, I'm really happy. Thank you. Things are wonderful. Or I'm upset. I'm mad today. I don't feel good. I'm mad at you. You can say things like that. It's okay because you're just expressing you and so doing that and then sitting and trying to quiet the mind through breath work, through meditation. Someone could start off with something simple like transcendental meditation, which is something that is taught TM. You can learn. It's with a mantra. You just recite the mantra in your mind, starts to shut off the brain and starts to allow you to go deep within. But then I practice something that's it's hard, but it's amazing, and I trust it that it's the most advanced form of meditation, and that's Kriya Yoga, which is what Babaji and Paramahansa and the lineage of gurus taught. Um, that's a number of things that I've had to learn over years. I started in 2018. So, I still don't do it perfectly. So there's a lot of learning still to do with that. But, just even sitting for 15, 20 minutes and focusing only on the breath, um, it's very helpful.
So if someone's interested in becoming a psychic medium, what steps can they take? Is it pretty much what you've said so far? Meditation?
Well, meditation is definitely going to be, you're going to have to do that in order to do it. So whether someone's already doing it or wants to do it, meditation needs to be put into the fold if you're going to do that. I ended up working with a woman named Deborah Lynn Katz, who's a PhD. She has the International School of Clairvoyance. Her and I have taught now master classes together. We have we're holding an event in St. Augustine near us in Florida at the end of the month, and so learning maybe from someone who is reputable and it can help develop. Everyone has the ability. Everyone has intuition. Everyone can tune into that, whether it's clairvoyant in seeing, clairsentient in feeling, claircognizant in knowing, clairaudience in hearing. All of those different clairs are different sixth senses that we have. Some are stronger than others for people, but you can discover which ones you are proficient more in. But so those are things that can be done. And you have to believe, you have to have some trust. You know, I have days that I just wholeheartedly know that I'm connecting well, I'm getting good information, I can't be wrong. And then there's days that I don't trust it as much. And when I don't trust it as much, it doesn't work as well. So, it's not something that I feel like you can master. Um, I mean, maybe you can. Maybe at some point, some gurus have gotten to the level where they are known as masters. And they're not masters of other people. That's not the term. That's not why we call them master, guru, master Yogananda, master Jesus, they've mastered themselves. That's why they're called masters. So, um, you know, at some point, but normally when that happens, that's when after you've shared your gifts and your knowledge with other people, it's then normally time to zip out of here and go on to the other side, you know.
So once you master that, like, do you go to a different planet or you just like one with God and that's it?
No, I mean there are different levels, I believe. And he talks about that in his book, Yogananda does. Um, some go over here and stay on the other side. Just kind of, like Babaji, Mahavatar Babaji, um, they say that he still is in the Himalayas with his um, with his devotees. He's got a band of devotees that he can materialize and dematerialize when he wishes, that he just goes from place to place, but he stays here on earth, helping people in some way. um, Christ is on the other side helping people. um, we can move up to higher levels. There is, heaven is the source of light and where the source is. And, sometimes some of those masters, some of those gurus, some of those people, those enlightened people will opt to come back into a life to help people instead of having to reincarnate because they have to work through some kind of karma or unfulfilled desires, as I talked about earlier. Sometimes they come back voluntarily to help. Um, so there's a number of different ways. Eventually, you or the way that they talk about it is that eventually you lose all sense of self, and that you can kind of rejoin the source and become like the drop of water is no longer the drop, it becomes one with the ocean again. But that doesn't happen right away.
So what's next in regards to your research?
I don't know. I don't know. I know that I'm holding these live events sometimes. I am sharing my work on my channel. It does seem like, people request me to do certain sessions with certain people and things like that. And I like to be able to fulfill requests when I can and try to ask for people that people are interested in hearing. Excuse me. Ooh. I like to try to fulfill requests people are interested in hearing from. But I like to post other very meaningful connections that I have. And it seems like the more meaningful the connection, the more amazing the connection, those videos don't get a lot of views. The ones that are more, I don't want to say superficial because nothing I'm doing is superficial, but the more like, it's a well-known person I'm asking for, which I enjoy asking for well-known people. I've asked for Marilyn Monroe. I've asked for, Michael Jackson. I've asked for amazing well-known people. And then, I capture some amazing evidence, responses from them, I believe. And those are amazing sessions. And I love doing those sessions because it's just, I love those people, or I have an interest in wanting to talk to them. But I just posted a video of someone's husband coming through perfectly for his wife. And just, it was so amazing. And, very few people are watching it. And I just have to wonder why. Why won't people care? Why don't they care more about those amazing connections as opposed to celebrity stuff or, well-known people? And, I get it, but to me, I think it's just as important, if not more important than celebrity sessions. So I don't know exactly where my research will be going next. I tried to work with some institutes to prove the stuff that I'm doing. I like to do that. I've worked with some PhDs. I'm updating my app. I'm creating a newer version of it for people. Um, Eventually I'll probably take on writing another book. Um, you know, but yeah, I don't know where else I'm supposed to go with it. And some days that kind of gets to me. I'm like, well, what else should I be doing? I can't just be posting videos all the time. I have to be doing something more meaningful, I feel like. I love sharing the sessions because people like you and other people find those videos and then ask me to speak about it. And then I get to have a nice, meaningful interview or conversation like this and share more of the messages that I want to share that I don't always get to share in all of the videos that I do. But yeah, wherever this guy, God wants to take me, Christ wants to take me and lead me. I give my life to him. My life was once crap. It was not being used the right way. It was destructive. I was going to die. It was either going to be death or being locked up for the rest of my life. Um, so it was a useless life at one point. And then I felt Christ come into my life and save me, and then bless me in a way that he gave me this amazing opportunity that not many people get to have, which is to know without a doubt that the afterlife is real, that the other side is real, that he is real, that he loves us, that he's willing to help. And I get to share that with all that thousands and thousands of people, sometimes millions, because some of the views I get are millions sometimes. And so, that to me that means he took someone that was wasting their life and turned it into a very meaningful existence that can help many, many others. I get messages all the time that are saying, you've changed my life, Josh. You've shown me this, and you've given me a connection with God. When I read those things, I do not go, you know what I mean? Like, I don't say that. Um, I take it as an honor that the big guy up there, used me as a device, as a tool, a bridge to help one of his other children. So I feel the honor that he used me. It's not coming from me, it's coming from him, but he used me. And so to be used as a channel of light, a channel of God, an extension is the greatest gift that any man or woman could receive, I feel.
Well, thank you so much. It looks like we're almost out of time. So, any final message you want to give to the people, the world?
I will say, if you're not already seeking, to start really seeking that connection with the higher power, and don't stop. Even when you feel it is difficult, or you hit a roadblock, or you're not getting the results that you feel that you should get, don't stop. Don't stop. Just keep going. And it's about progress, not perfection. So we are looking to make progress, not reach perfection. He's perfect. They're perfect. God's perfect. But we are his children. So we are just looking to keep seeking his love and that connection. And you will find it. You will find it.
Well, thank you so much.